Hi, it's Deborah from Create with Compassion. I am a Fun Stampers Journey coach here today to share with you the creation of this card. It's a beautiful and stunning thank you card. Let's create with compassion. On page 76 of the Annual Inspiration Book and Catalog, you'll find the Summer Garden stamp set as well as what inspired me to create this card. I will also be using the Journey Ovals die set. It has 5 dies that cut out ovals and 5 dies that pierce it. In this sample, I used the piercing element, but for today's card, I will not be using the piercing element. I have a piece of vellum paper that was cut out with the largest oval. I used a scrap piece of about 4 by 3 inches. The whipped cream oval was cut out using the second largest oval, and that used a piece of scrap paper that was about 3 1/4 by 2 1/2 inches. I have 2 pieces of whipped cream cardstock. One is 5 3 3/4 and the other is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I'll be using Watermelon Fusion 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 for the creation today. This is lemongrass cardstock 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Just fold it in half and then burnish with your bone folder for our card base, and of course an envelope. Let's go ahead and start with the whipped cream oval. I'm going to ink up the thank you with Hazelnut Blend True Color Fusion ink and stamp that to the right side of that oval. Then I'm going to bring in the largest bee and stamp that with the black licorice True Color Fusion ink, and he'll go kind of over on the left side at an angle like he's flying. While you have the bee and the black licorice, you can stamp that on your envelope to the bottom left, and then I also stamped hello from the tag elements in the Hazelnut Blend. Then I'll bring in this little sprig of flowers and ink that up with the Hazelnut Blend ink. We're going to stamp some down here at the bottom, and then we'll stamp some up at the top. I have the largest stamp with the flower and leaves, so we'll ink that up with the Hazelnut Blend and stamp that down in the right corner. Now the middle is going to be covered, so you don't have to worry too much about the middle. And then we'll take this and stamp it over here on the left side. Then I'm going to bring in my bee, and with the black licorice, go ahead and stamp him on here a few places. We're just basically random stamping. I'm just going to kind of have just part of them, mostly the wing there. And then probably just mostly the wing over here as well. And I think that's probably good. Let's bring in the smaller stamp with the flowers and leaves on there. Ink that up with the Hazelnut Blend. I'm going to kind of stamp that here in the upper right corner. And then ink it up again, and it'll be down here in the left, down there. I'm going to bring in this smaller piece. I'm just going to ink up just a couple of the sprigs at the very end of the flower and just kind of stamp that there. And same thing for up here. Ink up the smaller flower with the leaves, and I'm gonna stamp that down in the bottom left. And you could stamp a sentiment from another stamp set if you like, but I think it's beautiful with just that there. I'm going to take a moment to get all my stamps clean, and I'll be right back. I'm going to do some watercoloring with the Journey Color Splash pencils. I'm going to be using pencils number 5, and then 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, as well as number 33. And one nice thing about the watercolor is that they do have some recommendations on blending colors to get some of the Fun Stampers Journey unique colors there. Right, I have a clear block and a cup of water and a paintbrush, just one for my stash. I like thinner paintbrushes, so I use these instead of the paintbrushes that have the tube. I'm just gonna drop some water on my block here and get some of this color off of the pencil. This is number 17. I'm gonna take care of my little bumblebee first. And so once you get the color that you would like, I'm just gonna tap some extra water off of my paintbrush. I don't like having too much. I'm just gonna paint my bumblebee. Bit of shimmer and shine to the wings of the bee. Got my Journey glaze. I don't want it very thick, so I'm going to use a toothpick to help me spread it out. But first, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the Journey sparkle dust onto it. So I'm just going to pinch a little bit and just kind of sprinkle it on where the wings are. Wherever I have wings. Just gonna sprinkle some on, not a whole lot. I'm even gonna do it to my envelope. I'll take my Journey glaze. I'm just gonna put just a couple of drops. Let's see if you can see that small amount there. I'm just gonna take my toothpick and spread that out, because I just, like I said, I want a thin layer. Also, the thinner it is, the quicker it dries. Also going to put some Journey glaze on the yellow parts of the flower. My Journey glaze is now dry, so I'm just going to take a dry brush and just brush off the Journey sparkle dust that isn't in that Journey glaze. So Do that to everything. I've got adhesive on the back of the inside panel, and I made sure to go to the very corners because since this has a little water, it has it. Since this was watercolored, it's warped a little bit. I'm just gonna line it up on 3 sides. Once I get 3 sides done, then I know the 4th is gonna look good. Then I'm gonna get adhesive onto this panel, being sure to go to the very edge and corners. So we're gonna center this piece onto the watermelon fusion. It is a little warped, makes it a little more challenging. Using liquid glue would probably have been a good idea because that gives you a little wiggle room, but I think that looks pretty good. Make sure that's all pressed down. And then I've got my piece of vellum. I only need adhesive in the middle of that. And that's going to go centered there. That's probably good. Let's go ahead and put adhesive on this. And we will center this on our card base. And we'll pop this up with some foam squares. I'll just center that in your center that on your piece of vellum, and there's your card there. So that's what it looks like without the pierced. I also forgot to sponge the edges of the paper, so this gives you a look at the clean unsponged version, and this one you can see that I sponged the edge with the hazelnut blend ink there, as well as used the color splash watercolor paper for the background. Also changed the sentiment for a sympathy card, and I also created one with some of the Journey Natural twine there and put some sparkle silk on it. So that is the card for today. Here's the envelope with the beautiful wings there. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope that you will continue to create with compassion. Have a great day.